Launched in response to the rise of anti-Asian hate in 2021,
TAAF is working to transform the future of AANHPIs everywhere.
Though we make up 7% of the population in this country, we receive less than 0.2% of philanthropy. They look at COVID, they look at the previous administration, they say, oh, this is all recent. But in fact, if you look at Asian American history, as you know, there have been cycles of anti-Asian American hate for hundreds of years.
Hello, and welcome to Washington Post Live for another program in our Race in America series. I'm Tracy Jan, Deputy Health and Science Editor at the Washington Post. And joining me today is the CEO of the Asian American Foundation, Norman Chen. Hello, Norman. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tracy. Great to be here.
Let's begin. Norman, please tell us about the mission of the Asian American Foundation, which was founded at the peak of the coronavirus pandemic.
Yes, TAAF was founded in 2021, and our focus is on building safety, belonging, and prosperity for the AANHPI community around the country. What we do is to convene and connect across all sectors, cultures, and ideologies in this country, and our goal is really to create sustainable change so that AANHPIs everywhere not only feel safe, but feel that we truly belong in the fabric of American culture and society. Our work is dynamic, urgent, and complex, so TAAF both invests and innovates. We work with best-in-class nonprofits who are on the front lines of anti-hate education, narrative change, and representation and resources. We also innovate with high-impact programs to address major challenges facing our community.
TAAF also conducts an annual survey of attitudes towards Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, and Native Hawaiian communities. As a longtime race and economy reporter at the Post prior to transitioning to my editing role, I know there's very little data about our very diverse community. What made the foundation decide to conduct this survey?
You know, when the peak of anti-Asian hate in 2020 was occurring, there were reports about the incidents around the country by groups such as Stop AAPI Hate, but a lack of information about the underlying causes of these attacks. And so in doing research about hate against communities, we realized that perceptions by one group against another are very important. And so that led to the creation of the Status Index, the social tracking of Asian Americans throughout the US. And this is our fourth year for creating the Status Index and looking at the results.
And how has anti-Asian hate, evolved since the pandemic? It's much less in the news these days, but I see on Facebook all the time. I'm from the Bay Area. I have friends who are attacked especially around Lunar New Year, for what people think are going to be loads of cash in their purses. Has that gotten better?
You know, although it hasn't been in the news as much recently, our community still very much feels the fear of being at work, in the markets, on public transportation. So the fear of being attacked still pervades our community. And our data shows that a third of Asian Americans across the country have received verbal attacks within the past year. In New York City alone, a fifth of people have been physically assaulted. So they're very much is still an epidemic of anti-Asian hate in this country. It's just not being reported.
Time for us to do a better job, I suppose. This year's survey also found that more than half of Americans cannot name even one famous Asian American. What does that say?
You know, this is a statistic that really launched the status index a few years ago. We asked people to name a prominent or famous Asian American. And now, after 4 years and 20,000 respondents around the country, the number one answer still remains, I don't know, with the majority of Americans saying they can't think of a famous Asian American. The number two answer after that is consistently Jackie Chan, whom we love, but is actually not even an American.
Right.
And the third person cited is Bruce Lee. So then you start to see a pattern here, right? These are people that have been in movies, albeit older movies. They're playing stereotypical roles in terms of martial artists. And that's how people think about us, if they think about us at all. Similarly, we've done research about historical events. And again, the majority of Americans are not familiar with important AAPI historical events. The one historical event that pops up more than ever others is Japanese incarceration during World War II. But again, that's only a small percentage of our community. This ignorance is not only interesting and somewhat entertaining at times, it actually leads to much serious issues. With ignorance creates fear, and that fear can lead to scapegoating, which then, and during times of crisis, can lead to violence. And so again, we've seen this throughout Asian American history, as you know, and we saw it again during COVID, and we're fearful even during this election year that we're going to see more xenophobia and anti-Asian language during the campaigns.
Right. And our communities are often pitted against other communities of color, notably Black communities, with the model minority myth. And I wonder if you could say anything about how that has played out.
Yeah, our data also shows that people, when they think of Asian Americans and Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders in this country, they have the perception that we're all doing very well economically and in terms of leadership. So they think of us as being leaders in business, in healthcare, and in medicine, certain fields. But in reality, in business, Asian Americans are severely underrepresented. We can make up 20–30% of a workforce, be less than 5% at the senior level. And among Fortune 1000 boards, over 60% of the Fortune 1000 boards have 0 Asian Americans on their boards, which is just a shocking statistic. So the model minority myth still is alive and well. Again, economically, people think that Asian Americans are wealthy. The reality is that we have the highest income disparity across all of our ethnic groups, 11-fold between the richest Asian Americans and the least rich Asian Americans. And in places like New York City, where you see many Asian Americans, 1/4 of Asian Americans are living in poverty. So that ultimately accumulates into the underappreciation of the diversity and the challenges our community faces, and the fact that while we're 6% of the population, we receive less than 0.2% of philanthropy.
Absolutely. And our communities, as you said, are so diverse. We have very different immigration histories. It's very different if you come here for graduate school versus if you came as a refugee.
Right.
The foundation has also called for better education of Asian American history in our schools. Um, I know that there has been Congresswoman Grace Meng and Senator Mazie Hirono introduced legislation promoting the teaching of Asian American and Pacific Islander history in schools. Why does better understanding of our history matter?
Well, Tracy, going back to the fundamental issues of ignorance and fear, right? If people are not aware of our history, of our contributions to this country, aware of our culture, then that leads to fear. It leads to stereotypes, which ultimately can lead to violence. And so combating that ignorance is a major focus for TAAF. We are working across the country to promote the teaching of Asian American and other forms of ethnic studies around the country. Currently, 7 states mandate the teaching of AANHPI history, so we support organizations in many of those states. We also support the development of curriculum that includes AANHPI history with groups like UCLA and the Asian American Education Project. Earlier in your graphic, you showed a copy of our graphic novel, which we created with some friends and authors Amy Chu and Alexander Chang. that is one of the first ever graphic novels that provides an overview of Asian American history for youth and for, frankly, kids of all ages. And so we're excited to come out with volumes 2 and 3 shortly, all in the effort to increase awareness and understanding about our history, our culture, and so that people appreciate more who we are and have a better understanding and can build closer relationships with our community.
I wish I had that as a kid. I need to get that from my son, who's a sixth grader. Thank you for sharing that. Are there any particular chapters in our history that you feel like the public should know? You mentioned Japanese incarceration earlier. Are there other much lesser known chapters?
Well, so much of our history has been coming to the U.S. to support economic needs, where there's a need for a workforce to build railroads that helped the country to grow westward, also to support gold mines. We've been there to do the work, but then when economic times have become difficult, or there are other crises like the bubonic plague that came to San Francisco in the early 1900s, we were then scapegoated. And so you see this pattern just being repeated over and over again. And that's important for people to understand, not only the physical attacks against our community, but also the legal attacks and how we were the first community that were prevented from immigrating to this country.
That's right.
On the other hand, on the positive side, there are so many incredible stories of Asian Americans who've been so patriotic and heroic. And the story I always wish people knew more about was the 442nd during World War II. As you know, the Japanese American group of battalion that was the most decorated military unit ever in American history for its size. Asian Japanese Americans who families were incarcerated during World War II, volunteered to fight for America in Europe and were heroic in their battles and really creating an incredible reputation for themselves. So that's a powerful story that really needs to be told.
Yeah, absolutely. Despite their own country detaining them as suspicious characters. And I don't think
Yeah,
most people even know that one of the largest lynchings in our country happened to Chinese Americans in, I believe it was Chinatown in Los Angeles.
in
Um,
1871, correct. And that was one of the largest lynchings in our country and numerous attacks against Asian American communities, Chinese American, Indian American communities, primarily on the West Coast during those turbulent times during the late 1800s.
Thank you for bringing that to the forefront. You have also said that people don't see Asian Americans in leadership positions enough. Is that changing with more Asian Americans in business in corporate America, starring in movies and even owning sports teams?
We're not seeing it yet, unfortunately, in our data, but certainly we're seeing it more in the news, examples of Asian Americans who are, as you said, prominent in sports and business and politics. So I think more and more data points are out there. The reality is, I think among the American psyche or overall zeitgeist, it's still going to take time. For 4 years in a row, again, it's been Jackie Chan, leading the pack. And so these things do take time, but we're optimistic about the future and so impressed by the leaders in our community.
Yeah, I'm personally pleased by all the Hollywood representation of late in with the brother son and in on Pixar movies. The
Yeah.
foundation has worked hard to amplify the cultural visibility of Asian Americans, including during its annual summit. What role can cultural visibility play in all the issues that we've been discussing today?
Yeah, it's so important, Tracy. On one hand, you can educate, you can change people's minds, but it's the hearts you ultimately have to conquer. And so we look at other communities like the LGBTQ community and how they have woven, LGBTQ stories into mainstream media. And there are lessons for us to learn as well about the power of media and culture to influence how people think about Asian Americans and Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. So we currently work with Sundance. We have a fellowship program and also work with Ride Back Rise, a wonderful organization in LA, to develop the next generation of AAPI filmmakers and creators. And we're already seeing some tremendous successes. Sean Wang was one of our fellows previously, and this year his film DD won the Audience Award at Sundance, and then his short film Nanai and Waipoa about his grandmothers who are so cute in Fremont,
Yeah.
California, was nominated, as you know, for an Oscar. And so wonderful to hear stories like that of young, promising AAPI filmmakers finally getting a chance to tell their stories and being recognized for their talents.
I love it. Thank you. Throughout history, there have been cycles of anti Asian hate, as we were discussing, yet the index found that more than 4 in 10 Americans show no familiarity with recent tragedies involving Asian Americans, including last year's mass shooting in in Half Moon Bay. What might explain this? Are we just so
Well,
out of touch with the news?
yeah, no, I mean the news is reporting these incidents, but unfortunately there are so many of these terrible incidents that occur in our country that I think people get overwhelmed with the information. And so, yes, to your point, over 40% of Americans aren't aware of the mass shootings in Monterey Park and in Half Moon Bay. And so, one of the responsibilities we feel we have as a community is to make sure that in schools we do share these important incidents with students and they understand the full history of our community and our country. But also then to work to try to find solutions about how we can really move forward and minimize and reduce these types of incidents from happening in the future.
Right. Recently, new racial and ethnic categories were added to the census for the first time in 27 years. This will give Asian Americans more options to identify themselves. How do you
Mm.
think this will impact Asian American communities?
Yeah, disaggregation is a huge issue for our community. We've been lumped together for so many years,
Mm.
and we are clearly not a monolith with over 70 ethnic groups across our massive geography. And so understanding better how different Asian groups, East Asians, South Asians, Southeast Asians, Filipinos, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders, each of these groups has, 30 plus subgroups within it. Understanding how these different groups experience life in America in different ways is very important. It will showcase or focus on the economic disparities that these communities are facing, and also address issues like belonging and prosperity that are different community by community. So only by truly understanding the nature of the problems can we really find solutions.
That's right. Many of us have heard some version of, "Where are you from?" No, not California. Where are you really from? How does that impact Asian Americans' sense of belonging in our own country?
Yeah, I think, no matter where you grew up in this country, you have experienced that as an Asian American likely in your life. And people ask me, where am I from? I said, "Oh, I'm from Baltimore." And they say, "No, no, where are you from?" Okay, I'm really from Ellicott City. But then they really want to know where your ancestors come from. And our data consistently shows that between 30 and 40% of Americans in this country still believe that Asian Americans are more loyal to Asia, to a country in Asia, our home country, our origin country, than to America. So to question our patriotism at that level is really disturbing. And so it feeds this, feeling of that Asian Americans are perpetual foreigners, and it's very disturbing. Um, so, that is one of the areas that we want to address to show, again, how much we've contributed to this country, how involved we've been in this country, how much our history is American history.
Yeah, we see where that xenophobia will get us, as in World War II. So it's very
Yes, yes,
important.
yes.
We would also like to address news of the day. Recently, there were calls from Asian American protesters for the foundation to remove the CEO of the Anti Defamation League from your board due to what they see as demonization of Palestinian supporters as Nazis. What is your response to this?
We're in the process right now of listening intently to our community members. Again, our community is very diverse. That diversity gives us strength. And so we are in active conversation with organizations to better understand the issues and then to discuss this at our leadership level to look for actions going forward. We're still in the process right now, so I don't have any more to share at this point, but just to let the community know that we are listening intently. We're talking to our partners, talking to organizations who feel very strongly about this issue and taking it very seriously.
I want to pivot to your story. You said you grew up on the East Coast in Baltimore, in Ellicott City to be exact, and later spent 20 years in Hong Kong. You described that experience where Asians are the majority as being transformational. What did you
Hmm.
take away from that?
For many Asian Americans in the US, you oftentimes have this experience, unless you grew up, fortunately, in Hawaii or certain parts of California, where you, as a kid, wonder, gosh, in this class of 30 or 40 kids, why am I one of the few Asian Americans? How did I end up being the kind of the unique person here? And not really appreciating the benefits of your culture, even though your parents tell you, be proud, be proud. And so for me, that was a journey that I went on. And I used to be pre-med, like many good Asian American kids. But I think ultimately, my desire to learn more about my heritage and to really feel like I belong led me to go to Asia for work after I got my MBA. And it was very empowering, Tracy, to be in a community where all the bosses are Asian, all the movie stars are Asian, all the athletes are Asian. And having spent 20 years there, I got to appreciate, maybe what first generation Asian Americans feel when they grew up in Asia and then came to the US at different ages. So when I came back to the US, I had a different attitude. And so it's really, in a way, led me after 30 plus years in the private sector to my position now at TAAF to really be a champion along with our organization for our community so that we can promote belonging and prosperity here in America. Our data from the Status Index shows consistently over the past 3 years that Asian Americans are the least likely to truly feel like we belong in this country, less so than any other racial group. And the reasons for that lack of belonging are primarily twofold. Number one, direct discrimination and racism that we've experienced, which you can imagine really hurts people's sense of belonging. And secondly, not seeing people in leadership positions who look like us. So we've talked about representation, but that is so important because it ties to belonging and not seeing people that look like us in senior leadership positions. So we're working on both fronts, addressing the racism and discrimination, but also working on representation through media, through schools, and in corporates and other organizations.
Thank you so much, Norman. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. We really appreciate you joining us on Washington Post Live. Thank you for watching. For more of these important conversations, subscribe to the Washington Post. Get a free trial by visiting washingtonpost.com/live. I'm Tracy Jan. Thank you for watching Washington Post Live.